Cal, we have got yourself a choice because you can go to the random draw if you want. I know you know how that feels. I know you'd put a lot of people out there on skates if you did. Or will you be calling out? What's your choice, first of all?
No, I'll go random draw.
Random draw. We're going for a random draw from Callum Singleton. Oh, wow.
I'll change my mind.
Can you change your mind?
Yeah.
This is your show, mate. What do you want to do?
I'll pick Decky then, because he's got a lot to say. He's got a lot to say.
Declan Brennan has talked himself into a match. He's been giving you chirp ever since you arrived today.
Ever since I've played the first game, he was smiling at me, laughing at me, so I thought I'll let him off. My original decision was random pick everyone, just random pick. But he's been giving it some, so he's getting it.
Well, that is what the last man standing is all about. Decky, welcome back to the competition. I mean, you didn't pick up your cue until 6 o'clock Sunday last year, so I think you were probably due something like this, but you and that big mouth, mate, you've talked yourself into some trouble.
I'm here for a good weekend, not a long one, so if I win, I win. I don't. Better crack, you know.
Sounds like a plan. Well, in Callum's word, he's getting it. So let's find out if he is. It's the last man standing. It's Callum Singleton versus Declan Brennan, and it's next.
Declan, who has sat here for nearly 2 days last year, ended up fourth, playing one match and losing, has to get out there nice and early. And our first time to talk about how you're going out there cold and the player you're playing has just won a match and is nicely warmed up.
Plus, also, if you're Declan, you're obviously it's going through your head that that's a bit of a crazy way to have got chosen, and there's clearly some banter between them. So he's now got to feel the extra pressure to step up and do well.
Do you think it's going to change play? Are we going to see dead silence out there now when the player's picking? Are they going to? Because if it's me, if I'm out there, I'm hiding. I don't want to be in Declan's position and be. I want to hide and forget. Hopefully, people forget you're even there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, from our perspective, this has changed things for the rest of the day, because, I mean, that was a big call. That was a moment we weren't expecting. If we could see a few more of those, it's going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, that was, we were still talking about Neil Rayburn calling out Tom Cousins after the first match last year. We'll be talking about this moment, win or lose from Callum, for a long, long time. But now he has the very real problem of having to beat Declan Brennan, who has been playing very well lately. He's into the Champions League finals night. He's been playing some good stuff. He is the reigning WEPF World Masters champion. He really is legitimately one of the best players in the world, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting decision because, I mean, we joke about it and it's a bit of fun for Callum, but he's travelled up here for this event. There's decent prize money at stake. He's expected to be here for a couple of days. He's given himself a tough morning's work now.
Yeah, and for the third time in 3 breaks, his break has come out horrible. And this is an interesting one for himself as he goes through, and if he was to win this one on to the next matches, the break is not coming out giving good splits. Now, that might work out well for him. It's going to shorten the match up here, and it's going to come down to a bit more tactical play than just wide open break and finishes.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky when you're playing with a 20-minute match clock. If you're not having open games, you end up playing. The last match was basically a best of 3, so it definitely does shorten the match.
Oh, he left Declan a plant which hasn't gone to plan, so that red, if it's sat right on the jaw, might take reds out of play here. Maybe yellows become the option. Oh, yellows are the option, of course.
Yeah, decent chance. Obviously, still some traffic in the middle of the table. Callum isn't going to want to play the whole day the way he played the last match. He was relying on getting given chances. A bit scrappy. Oh, that's more like it.
Yeah, that's come out a little bit awkward though. Red's gone up the table and blocked the yellow at the top. The other yellow's gone next to the 8 ball. I think it still goes bottom right, definitely goes top left. But it would have hoped for a bit more of an open look after a fabulous shot he's just played.
Yeah, it itself was great, but the other ball was rolling, but of course the trouble. Still got shots on though. Does he feel he can just squeeze this ball top left? Well, that's one of the problems out of the way. You take the 2 at the bottom of the table, and that ball, as you say, next to the 8 ball does pop. It's going to be hard to link it up though at the top of the table.
I wonder if the yellow at the top doesn't go, there's no way to get to it, and it doesn't look like there's even close. Does yellow off yellow become a good option if you get nicely on it? Because you're not going to be able to get good out. Well, he's tried to go up for it there, and well, it's all gone wrong.
Wow, that had everything. Yeah. Almost fluked in. In fact, if he doesn't go in the pocket with a white, it may actually have run across the table and cannoned into it. It's gone all wrong as it happened.
I mean, that's as wrong as you can go with the cue ball. I mean, going in off, of course, but he was trying to be nowhere near that. He wanted to be nearer the centre pocket than the corner pocket to get the angle to play the breakout. And he's gifted Declan Brennan a perfect opportunity here just to get into the day, into this last man standing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very real prospect for some players that you could end up getting knocked out of this tournament without playing a shot, basically. A couple of dry breaks could be all it takes. So anytime you're left with this kind of open chance, you're pretty happy to get started. I think the fact Declan had a good run last year, obviously a good run helped by not playing a ton at the beginning, but he's probably got good memories of this tournament, and I'm sure would be hoping to make the latter stages of it.
Well, to be honest, when you say good run, I felt like he was here as a commentator, because he spent more time commentating than he's playing. He was his success rate on the table was I think one match played and lost, but he did come fourth.
Yeah,
so
that's what I mean. A good result.
Good result. Yeah. Yeah, nice payday without actually having to do anything.
I'm sure he was hoping for more of the same, whether it was through winning or through just getting there, but completely opposite pattern so far. It's a good shot, nicely open for him.
Yeah, slightly hampered, but shouldn't really pose too much of a problem.
Good solid pot, was a bit hampered there, but struck it nicely. Callum Singleton had first chance there, but a very careless positional shot. Potted the cue ball.
I wouldn't even say it's respect. It's almost you don't want to be mean, but you've got to forget about all that. This is a tournament to be won. You've got to, and why we love it is you've got to call out the player you think you're best suited to be. And well, you know, as much as we enjoyed the call out here of Declan Brennan, it absolutely wasn't the right thing to do in terms of, you know, his best chance to win the match. Don't get me wrong, he still can.
It's interesting, we saw last year the attitude of the players. Some feel the need to explain themselves, so they say, you know, I'm going to pick somebody that's got less experience and that they don't want to see me, and others are just like, bang, I'm having that guy.
There wasn't much room there. He knows the two reds at the top are really awkward, and the red by the 8 ball and the red by the yellow at the bottom, so he got himself the colour set and then was sort of going to turn it over and hope for a better chance to come a little bit later on. It's an attempted loss of turn that's not quite worked, but the second part of the shot has worked. He has just nudged the red open at the bottom left.
So many times out in this match table we've seen clearance after clearance from the break, and the ball's usually split pretty well. So far this morning no one's been in a great deal of danger of clearing up in one visit. Joe Connolly came the closest, ultimately fell short. This looks like another scrappy frame.
Yeah, the ball's just not opening up yet. That's a really good point.
I mean, in a way it's kind of what you want, because it's going to make for a lot of buzzer beater drama at the end of these matches. It looks like time's going to play a heavy factor throughout the day.
Oh, that couldn't come out better for Declan. He's opened up both in one shot, stayed on both. He's got one problem left to solve at the bottom of the table with 8 ball and a red, but the red to bottom left is a really good ball to do it with.
Yeah, that's a thing of beauty. You go into it at that angle, it's always going to get a kind of double kiss. You're not quite sure where everything's going to go, and they just both fanned out towards opposite corners.
Does he try and get down the table now and play the breakout, or is it tighter at the bottom? Because the way he's just put his cue and planning things out, I wonder is it slightly tighter than I first gave it credit for, the red to bottom left to play the breakout off?
Yeah, if he's got the full pocket, that's a fairly routine shot for him, but if he's having to pot it into part of the pocket, he's going to have less flexibility on the angle. He's got a nice angle here though, he can control where he brings the white down the table. Wow, he's totally lost the white there.
I was surprised by Callum's poor in-off in the previous frame. I'm more shocked by this one. I mean, that is nowhere near where he was playing it.
Well, he just never got into it, did he? He was obviously playing for the ball along the bottom rail, but just didn't get anywhere near enough spin on it.
Yeah, that tells us that red can't go past the yellow to bottom right. I was assuming it did, but the way he played that, he had to be playing on that ball. But an opportunity for Callum to go one each, and both players will be kicking themselves.
This was the pattern of the first match. Callum lost the first frame that he might have expected to win, got given a chance in the second one. must be feeling good. I mean, he's obviously the player with the most experience out there so far this morning. He's the most warmed up. Needs to get motoring though. Very intrigued to see what Callum's going to do if he does come through this match. It looked like he was thinking random draw, which would suggest he'd go random draw for a second time, but maybe he's just going to double down and go big the way he started.
I mean, I suspect, yeah. I mean, he said in his own words his plan was random draw all the way, so unless somebody catches his eye and gives him a little bit of something, then yeah, I would expect the same.
Well, that's the thing, and will any of the players do that for a bit of fun? I mean, that would be a moment.
Also, it would be very fascinating to see what Declan Brennan would do. He could go very rogue, but I suspect he will go the right way for him, which is probably kind of the Tom Cousins MO, work from the bottom up. But if I was Ronan McCarthy, I'd be hiding.
I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it? If the day starts with a couple of those, I think you're going to see a lot more, whereas if people start being sensible, then it sort of sets the tone for everyone else to do that.
If Declan Brennan wins this match and calls out Ronan McCarthy, that is the moment, isn't it? I mean, the first two matches would be ridiculous to have those two call-outs back to back. But of course, he's got to win this match first, and simple 8-ball here for Callum to go 1-1.
Yeah, he said at the beginning it was hard to call what's going to happen today. All of these matches you feel are going to be like this. I mean, nothing to choose anyway between these two players. But yeah, I think it's a different mindset. I mean, some of the pros might even take the view that if they're not going to win the tournament, they'll go and enter another tournament today, or go and do something else for the day. Whereas the qualifiers are surely going to stay for the duration either way.
This is a much better layout for Callum. One slight issue being the 8-ball, but the rest not too bad. Sort of talking about the yellows specifically, there was, I suppose, that one yellow on the left-hand side, awkward to drop into the middle. I don't think it goes to the corners, but pretty nice even split. Just 8-ball, but yellow off 8-ball doesn't look too much of a challenge. Oh, that will do the job as well. Beautiful, just to kind of come round the yellow, and that's all that he needed. Now the 8-ball's not a problem.
Don't see much of them so far. Normally he's pretty prolific off the break. He's had to do it the hard way so far. To start taking a few quick chances. He's really got the one difficult ball, which is the one we're talking about nearest the left cushion.
He's gone past the straight, so he can't sort of drop behind it now, unless he can go on and off the cushion. Could go on and off the cushion and play into it, but you're not guaranteed to be on anything, so it's still slightly awkward. Yeah, he has played into it. Now that probably tells us the yellow middle of the top half of the table might go through the gap top right, because he played it in such a way where he wasn't likely to be on the yellow he was bumping into. Doesn't look like it goes on the overhead, but he's down on it pretty quickly.
That was a good last shot. He just had to slightly force it to make that angle. Couldn't do too much with the cue ball. Knew it was always going to stay somewhere near where it is now.
No, that was tough. It was tight.
Yeah, again, you can see how he's mishit that by where the whites ended up. He wasn't in good shape. He was obviously trying to hit it thicker, get deeper into the ball. Just came across it slightly. Now second dibs at the table for Decky from a more open position. You've got the one problem ball.
If he doesn't get the angle to break it out, double isn't a terrible option at all.
Excited whichever of these players
Yeah,
wins to see what happens at the end of the match.
I'm sort of sat here just waiting for the next call out. Doesn't matter who wins from that perspective. There was a few players coming into this weekend, and I thought, if you can avoid the random draws, of course there's going to be more random draws this year than there was last year, but if you can avoid a few random draws, you might be in for an easy day. And I had Declan firmly in that kind of camp. I thought Declan might. If you had to pick someone that wasn't going to play today, he was right up there. Obviously, you're expecting all the hitmen to play today because of the sort of forced nature of it being on players, and obviously they're there to be shot at as well, and there's money on their head, the instant wins available. But for the players just outside that are going well, you know, the likes of your Craig Waddinghams and your Declan Brennans, I expect them to, but he's out second match. I suspect he's in a little bit of shock himself.
Yeah, they're in that sort of category where there's just no real logic to picking them out, bar the slightly unusual logic that Callum came up with.
Wow. I tell you what, this tells you a lot about how the players are feeling out here. That's a very jarring miss from Declan Brennan on the back of his last visit to the table where he went in off on the previous frame and it cost him. It's, well, major surprise.
He does lose the match. Declan's going to be pretty annoyed with Callum as well as he packs up his cue.
Also, I didn't really mention it at the start. Of course, they are international teammates as well.
And Callum's no stranger to the moments of drama. There was that 6 red when he stopped to look at his watch in the middle of it.
He was with Declan in that one as well, wasn't he? They were partners doing the 6 red. I mean, it's from whichever way you look at it. It's just, yeah.
I mean, it's what you want. We talked so many times about how important it is to have characters in the game. It's not good enough just to go out there and pot all the balls every time.
Yeah, and those that possibly don't know the players, or you know, there are some huge characters in the game. There really are. Maybe some that have maybe got too much character, but there are plenty.
Well, hopefully we're going to see some of it. Sometimes it's not welcome in a tournament, but this one, it's all about the drama and the personality. And we're going to see, of course, as the day goes on, people are going to relax. Like they're all crowded round the table at the beginning, everyone looks a bit subdued, but I think later in the day when they've seen a bit more and a few more of them have had a game, you know it's going to loosen up a lot.
Yeah, agreed. Fairly regulation 8 ball here, as you can see from this angle, for the 2-1 lead and punish that error from Declan, and we're in the final 5 here. It's the reality of it.
Yeah, it's really hard to call, isn't it? Sometimes you get people sequence a few together. Wow.
Oh no.
Big break, but what a bad result that is.
And it's open. It's really open. This is all there for Callum Singleton. This is his opportunity to essentially take this away from Declan. It's not to win the match, but it's going to ruin the match clock and go 2 in front.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dream, isn't it, for Callum? Nice open chance. I mean, if he can win the frame, even better. But as you say, he just takes the time off. When you break like that, when you've got the cue ball going up in the air, you've just got to keep it in the centre of the table. You see a few people like Gareth Potts with that break where it bounces high, but normally lands back in the middle. Any angle on it, that can happen. Wow, it's going to be a disappointing morning's work for Declan if Callum does run these balls out. He's going to feel like he's barely been in this tournament.
Yeah, and he'll be regretting opening his mouth on the previous draw. Callum changing his mind to pick Declan after originally picking the random draw.
Stick from Ronan McCarthy if he loses. If he wins, Ronan might need to keep his mouth closed to avoid the same thing happening.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get some stick, that's for sure. Callum doing everything right here. This will be the first finish off the break in the day. Reverse clearance, and I'm a little bit surprised it's taken nearly 40 minutes of play for that to happen. I think that shows you kind of how the balls have split, but also how the players are feeling early on the day.
Yeah, it's a different kind of tournament. It's almost a bit more like a team event where you're playing single frame pool, and you just feel that a little bit more pressured than normally, because we see this format, of course, on a Monday evening for the Champions League, but then you're guaranteed 3 matches. This one could be your only match of the weekend. That's what we love, though. That pressure is just so hard to simulate, because this environment just creates it for you.
It is 3-1 to Callum, who has called out Declan Brennan, and he's on the verge of eliminating him.
I guess when you've just arrived, you're just not really thinking, you're just hoping it's not going to be you.
You this 8-ball go? 8-ball, the 8-ball would have been for it, but he's made a ball. And with under 2 minutes to play, it essentially ices this match if he can just knock a few balls in, run the clock down.
The position of that 8-ball as well makes it very difficult for a quick counter clearance. Especially can just stay at the table for a bit.
Yeah, and if that red doesn't go in any way, shape or form, then as in the red next to the 8-ball, obviously it's blocked off by the yellow as well. I'm just wondering whether to pot a couple of balls and play safe is the way to go here. Pop the 4 open yellows, then play safe. Will probably be the order of the day.
Yeah, because I mean you can use up pretty much the full 15 seconds for each one you pot. By then there won't be enough time left for Declan. And what's he going to do with the red even if he does get to the table? Well, this is looking like it's been a long journey for Decky for a very short appearance on the match table. What a moment though. This is a bit like the Raybone one from last year. People are going to be talking about that for the rest of the weekend.
The difference being Neil lost to Tom Cousins, and as good a call out as it was for us to enjoy, it was ultimately the wrong thing to do, whereas Callum is going to get the victory here. I suppose the one saving grace, if you want to give Declan any hope, is at least he has the next break, so potential golden break, but how do you get out from here?
Yeah, just the sheer time as well. He's fluked the ball, but he's still got to keep going. He's got 2 problem balls, and he has to smash into the one on the right off this one.
Oh, that will be that. Callum Singleton has called out and beaten the World Masters champion. He's knocked out his teammate.
All right, welcome back into the arena. Callum Singleton has won 2 in a row. Let's give it up for Declan Brennan, first of all, who exits the competition. And let's keep that ripple going for Callum Singleton, who has won 2 in a row. Well played. Warming up?
Yeah, a little bit. I played a little bit better there. Should have kept quiet, shouldn't he? I even give him a 1-0 head start as well, and he still can beat me.
Loving this, absolutely loving it. This is what the last man standing is all about. Hopefully it's an influence for the rest of the day. You've got a choice now, Cal, because you are looking to sit in that lovely red seat there. So here's how it works. Your choices are limited now. You can't just call out anybody. If you're going to call somebody out, these are the fellas right here. Tom Cousins and Chris Melling. Their bounty brought to you by Beemore. Prasad's bounty for Jack Whelan, and Omnia Therapy's bounty for Phil Harrison. Or you can randomly draw it. What would you like to do, Cal?
Does any of the 4 big boys want to come out?
That's not how it works. You've got to pick him. You can't volunteer.
He was giving it all day, so and he got dealt with. So yeah, random draw. Go for it.
Random draw is the decision. So
I asked them and I didn't want to.
yeah, that is true. You did ask them and they didn't fancy it. So we are going to go to the random draw. Stay right there. You're going to want to watch this. Computer, in your own time, let's find out who Cal will be playing to go safe and 3 in a row. Who is it going to be? Come on down. Scott Rutter.